All right, everybody, welcome back for another deep dive.
Yeah.
Today we're tackling something I think we've all felt at one point or another in our lives.
Yeah.
It's that feeling of just being totally overwhelmed, like everything's going wrong all at once.
Totally.
The text we're looking at today calls it being beleaguered, kind of like you're under siege. And I got to say, I can relate to that feeling. I remember one time I showed up for this big presentation, and I realized I left my laptop at home.
Oh, no.
With all my notes on it.
Yeah.
Talk about feeling under siege. But the cool thing about this deep dive is it's not just about complaining. It's about figuring out how to deal with these situations.
Right.
And maybe even come out stronger on the other side.
Exactly. And the text really zeroes in on how important it is to understand the role our emotions play. When things start to go wrong, it's like our mood just magnifies everything. And suddenly the problem feels like 100 times worse than it actually is.
Totally. Like with my presentation fiasco, my first reaction was pure panic, which looking back, didn't really help me solve anything.
Not at all.
Now the text suggests this interesting idea of having like a mini tantrum, just to get that initial frustration out. What are your thoughts on that?
It's funny. On one hand, I can see how that could work. But on the other hand, it feels a little risky, don't you think?
Well, there's definitely some science backing it up. It's this concept called catharsis.
Okay.
The idea that expressing strong emotions can actually have a cleansing effect, but the text emphasizes the key is keeping it short.
Right.
Think of it like a pressure valve. You let off a little steam, then you get back to work.
So how do we actually do that? Like, say you're in the middle of a meltdown. What are some practical ways to hit that pressure valve without causing a full-blown explosion?
Well, sometimes just moving your body can help. Go for a run.
Or even just do some jumping jacks. Anything to burn off that nervous energy. Another good one is journaling. Really helpful for processing your thoughts and emotions. And of course, sometimes you just got to talk it out. So someone you trust, a friend, a family member,
right?
A therapist even.
All good strategies. But sometimes we're beleaguered because we messed up.
Oh, yeah.
The text talks about taking ownership when we're the ones at fault.
Yeah.
And acknowledging that we reap what we sow.
Absolutely. And that's where personal accountability comes in. It's not always easy to admit we made a mistake, but it's so crucial for growth. Owning our actions helps us learn from them and avoid repeating the same mistakes over and over. Like that saying, experience is the best teacher, but tuition is high.
That's a good one. Now, this next part of the text really got me thinking. It asked this question. Let's just say we did everything right, and yet the system has failed us. What then?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I mean, that's a whole other level of beleaguered, right? Yeah. The text is acknowledging that sometimes. No matter how hard we try, no matter how well we prepare, there are these external factors, these systemic failures that can completely derail our efforts. It could be anything. Bureaucratic red tape, societal biases, things that are totally out of our control.
So how do we deal with that? How do we find meaning and even potentially growth when we're facing setbacks that feel so unfair? So beyond our control.
That's where resilience comes in. Even in the face of these systemic failures, we still have the power to choose how we respond. The text talks about how hitting rock bottom can actually give us a unique perspective. It forces us to reevaluate our priorities and discover this inner strength we didn't even know we had. It's almost like adversity can be a teacher, pushing us to grow in ways we never expected.
That makes me think of Viktor Frankl. He wrote about finding meaning in the horrors of a concentration camp.
Oh, wow.
It's hard to even fathom. But he found a way to turn suffering into a source of deeper understanding and purpose.
That's incredible. His experience actually led him to develop logotherapy, a form of therapy that focuses on finding meaning as the main driving force in life. His story is a powerful reminder that, even in the darkest of times, the human spirit can not only endure, but it can thrive.
Powerful stuff. The text also mentions this idea of starting over with a fresh perspective.
Yeah.
But what does that actually look like? How do you go from feeling completely defeated to rebuilding and creating something new?
Well, I think it starts with a shift in mindset. Instead of seeing yourself as a victim, reframe your narrative. You're a survivor. And don't be afraid to lean on your support system, friends, family mentors, even professionals if you need to. Identify new goals, maybe even explore passions you'd put aside. It's about finding those little sparks of hope and fanning them into flames.
So the main takeaway here is that even when we feel totally beleaguered, we still have choices in how we respond. It's not about ignoring the difficulties or pretending they don't exist. It's about finding the strength to navigate them, learn from them, and maybe even find a way to grow from the experience.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And as you move forward, here's a little something to ponder. What's one small step, even a tiny one, that you can take today to shift your mindset from feeling overwhelmed to feeling empowered? That one step could be the start of something incredible.
Definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.